Hey, welcome back to Thoughts We Share podcast. I'm Tinashe,
And I'm Nicole.
and today we are tackling the big question of what do you do when everyone around you is negative and pushing your goals down?
That's right.
Yeah, so Nicole, can you answer that question? What do you do when everyone around you is just being negative and you have this big goal that feels like nobody is supporting you?
I mean, I feel like I have struggled with this for the longest. However, I feel like in the last couple of months, I've been trying to literally tune out the noise. Especially when you're trying to like do something and then you have outside noises, family, friends, and people that you know, and they're telling you, oh, this is too risky. What if it doesn't work? And then you end up not doing that thing because you've just like let them plant those seeds of doubt. So
Yeah.
for now, I'm trying to follow my intuition and also trying to be careful as well with who I'm listening to. So I'm trying to be very intentional with the advice I'm getting and the source as well.
Hmm.
What
And
about
what do
you?
for me, I've had experience like that before in the past where I've had this big goal and I feel hesitant to tell people because I feel like just generally interacting with them, they would be negative or they wouldn't be as supportive as I need in that moment.
Mm-hmm.
So what I resorted to at the time, because I was starting my business, I decided not to tell anybody at all. I did it on my own. And when it was done, literally like 3 days before the launch of this business, I was like, okay, guys, this is what I'm doing. This is happening next week. And then everyone was like, oh, what's that? And I told them everything, and that was it. So there was no room to hear any lack of support or any funny business, really. I just said, this is my time to shine, and I will shine regardless of anybody's support or not. And to be honest, I didn't even want to hear any negative support from anybody. And I think that's because I know that the voices that I wanted to tell, they mean a lot to me. And if I had said something, they said, oh, that's a bad idea, I would have actually said, rethought the whole process or the whole idea and sat down and not done it. Whereas now, I didn't tell them and I did it and I've been succeeding at it and I'm continuing to do it. And the support came because they saw that the finished product was there. Because I think sometimes people doubt the journey less than the actual final product.
Yeah.
So they'll say, oh, don't do it, don't do it, don't do it until you actually have the piece, like the final thing in your hand. Then they're like, oh, okay, I guess it's good. Let me support you now, and they're so proud of you and all the things that come with that. So
That's true.
yeah,
I guess like what you're saying, if it's people that you really care about, especially like if it's a family or like your close friends, and then imagine like your family telling you you can't do something. Of course, that's gonna like, drill a little seed of doubt in there because
yeah,
you expect them to know you so much to know your capabilities, but in actual
mm,
reality, they don't always know. And I think that's the thing. Like we
mm,
always think that these people in our lives know the extent of our
mm-hmm.
capabilities, but I've come to learn that no one knows what you're capable of more than yourself. Something
Definitely,
I'm trying to drill into my head that, like, fair enough, you think I can't do it, but I actually think I can.
yeah,
And I've also noticed that like sometimes people are just projecting their fears, and that's not necessarily your reality. So you have to
mm,
be very, very careful when you tell people like your dreams or your plans, because if they tell you you're on the wrong path, you have to ask yourself, is this person speaking from wisdom or
mm,
from their own fears because it didn't
mm,
work out for them in the past, or they know
mm,
someone's daughter that tried it and didn't work out. So it's
mm,
trying to really decipher that and say, like, where are you coming from and where are you going with this? And also trying to be like, fair enough, even if you have valid reasons for concern, I'm not that person. I'm me, you know?
mm,
Mm-hmm.
mm. Definitely. I think the projecting where people project their fears is a big, strong one. like you said, you need to really analyze what that person has done in their lives, not to shade them or anything, or to say, oh, you haven't done this thing, so you're not the best person to advise that. Obviously, as people, we seek people that we trust, we seek their opinions, like our parents, our siblings, family, friends, whoever's opinion that we really trust and value, because we add value to people, right?
Mm-hmm.
um and think about their livelihood and how they've survived throughout life, and looking at them with compassion, because I think that's the biggest thing, to recognize when someone is projecting their fears, that how would you look at them in a compassionate way?
Yeah,
You see their journey, you see that they struggled to get to a certain point, or where they began is totally different from where you began, especially our parents, just looking from how their family life was at our age or younger, that
mm-hmm.
was completely different to what they've provided for us. That means they've survived a whole lot and have expanded themselves to a point where they can provide for their families in a better way and all, even though they're not where they want to be, but they've succeeded beyond their parents' imagination.
Definitely.
And when you then come with your own thing that's new and something that they haven't experienced, or they feel like is out of their world or their capacity, then obviously they're going to enter that and say, oh, are you sure? Are you sure? Are you sure? It's not every parent, obviously, it's not every person that advises, but some do, because fear is a natural thing. And we've talked about this so many times on our other episodes, where fear literally is to protect you from this danger. And sometimes parents or family members or people that care about us, they don't want to see us fail. They
Definitely.
don't want to see you struggle. They don't want to see you cry or experience this big hardship of like loss if your idea doesn't work out, or your path or your goal doesn't work out. So it's very natural. But instead of taking it as like, oh my gosh, this is a negative Nancy coming again to ruin my life, oh my gosh, looking at them with compassion and say, you know what, like, I understand why they're speaking in that way. They've experienced so much, they're scared, you know
Definitely.
but that fear
Definitely.
doesn't have to be mine.
Exactly. You don't have to
Yeah.
carry that.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. I also, for me, I think it's important to realize that circumstances and timing and individual effort play a huge role in someone's success.
Yep.
So even though like they're worried and they're scared, sometimes it just takes the right type of environment. Like, like when you're gonna plant like a harvest, you have to do it at the right time for it to produce the right harvest, right? Like for you to produce a lot of like good fruits. So when you see that the place where I am right now is a good opportunity for me to do this thing that I want to do, sometimes you just have to jump on it.
Yeah.
And I think it's a personal thing that you have to be like trusting of yourself and your capabilities. And I think sometimes like obviously with people's fears and how they are worried, and it's all out of love, and I completely get that. But also I see why they feel that way. I think you'd have to really bank on yourself a hundred
Mm-hmm.
percent and be willing to do the work that it takes to do whatever goal you're trying to reach. So let's
Mm-hmm.
say you're trying to start a business and you have the will to, and like your heart is willing, your soul is willing, but are you willing to put in the effort? Because as long as you're not really like putting in that 100% effort, their concerns will be validated, because obviously in order for you to take a step into whatever you need to do, you have to have already like decided 110, like this is going to be a hard road. I'll probably fail, I have to get up, I might lose money, I might make money. Like you'd have had to like literally drill that in your head that no matter what happens, I'm showing up 110%. And that also leans into that whole discipline thing. You'd have had to reach that moment where I am seeing this through.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? And
Definitely.
yeah.
I think that one for me is the power within. I heard this from Jay Shetty's podcast with Big Sean, and Big Sean was just talking about how he experienced his own set of adversities, that he wanted to be a rapper really bad. But he was a good student at school, and he had just received a scholarship to go to college and study whatever, right?
Mhm.
But then instead of going through that path, he decided to stick with rapping and not go to college and just sell himself and his art. And he talks a lot about the power within, because he said the only thing that was motivating him was his belief in himself.
Mhm.
Even when he felt like, okay, damn, it's not working, like really everything that I'm trying is not working, he kept on reminding himself, but remember my goal, remember my goal, remember my goal. And obviously, if you're trying to be a rapper, like even now people are always trying to be rappers, and how we view those people, it's like, well, how successful are you gonna be? There's doubt, people doubt, because we can count the number of successful rappers that we know by head, right? Not to say there's no space for them, but then there's this big doubt of how do you think, why do you think you'd actually get up there, you'd be up there with the likes of, and then name 10,000 rappers that have succeeded. There's a lot of doubt. And but then for themselves, as that person who wants to achieve that goal, that rapper or Big Sean, for example,
Mhm.
that he believed in himself so strongly that he actually made it. And he talked a lot about, like what you said, the discipline and being prepared and being ready, that it took years for him to get there. He started selling his CDs when he was 11 years old in school. That means he had already started writing, he was already preparing. And by the time that he met Kanye West to give Kanye West his CD, he was 18, 19 years old. So that's 7 years of working hard,
Mhm.
and by the time he reached that opportunity, he was also doing other things as well. So if you're
Definitely.
already on this journey, like now going back to us as human beings, right? You already know this journey. You've had this long thought process. The idea has sparked in your head. You're excited about it. You know the plan. You know what you have to do. You know how to prepare yourself. You're disciplined. You're working on yourself. You trust yourself. And then someone comes and says, well, no. But if you have that solid foundation within yourself, that no doesn't even phase you. You just look at them
Yeah.
and blink and say, okay, thank you for your comment. I don't really need it, but thank you. And you continue with your path because you know where you're going.
Mhm. Mhm.
Yeah. And I think
Uh,
that's the weakness that comes, is like people don't trust themselves much. So
yeah.
any opinion that comes in, it's like, oh wow, well. Well, I
Exactly.
guess there are, yeah.
Yeah, I would say that like the whole scenario that you just explained about Big Sean, it's just very clear that like obviously he believed in himself before the
Mm,
world did. And
mm,
that's one of the things that's really important, that trust that you have within yourself. And for me personally, the way I would tackle that, or how I'm trying to tackle that, is build trust within myself first.
mm.
Because without enough trust in myself, that's when these whispers kind of stand, and the opinions
Definitely.
stick, because you're not sure, like, can I though? I'm not
Mm.
sure. If someone comes and says, well, I don't think you, I don't picture you doing something like that. I don't
Mm.
see that for you. And then you start to think, do I see that for myself? But if you already see it, you're just like you said, you're unfazed. You're like, fair enough. You don't see it, but I see it for myself. So it's very important to like protect your vision. You know what I mean? And
Mm.
what you see, and for yourself, and like
Yeah.
also just back yourself up. So definitely build trust within yourself. And that's the best way you'll be able to silence those little whispers that come in the background.
Yeah, definitely. And we've talked about this before.
Mm-hmm.
But doing things where you want to build your intuition, or you want to build that self-trust, because they're very similar, they're the same,
Mm-hmm.
is when you have an idea or you have a plan, pursue it, right? Even if it's the smallest thing, like getting up and making your bed, that you have this spark, you're like, okay, I think I should get out of bed now. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, get out of bed and do it. That shows your mind, that shows your body that you think and you act,
Mm-hmm.
that you don't need an outside opinion to validate this action that you want to pursue.
That
And the more you take those small actions, the small bites, the more you start to believe that you actually pay attention to yourself and you want to take care of yourself. And then
definitely.
when your big idea comes through, because the more small things you do, the big ideas start to come through, because you recognize your values, you recognize your purpose, you start to see an easier path towards that. And then when the negative voices come in, you shut them out. That you're impenetrable. Nothing
Exactly.
can come through to you. So
Mm-hmm.
you're good, you're solid. You're solid.
That's so true. That's so true. And one of
Mm,
the other things that is always said all the time is when people start talking about stats and statistics,
Mm,
which obviously I see where they're coming from, and I definitely get it that it's worth obviously having that in mind and seeing like what you're saying, like rappers and all that stuff, like okay, what's the market like and all that stuff, and
mm,
if you can bring a new vibe or you want to stick with what's there and bring something fresh to it as well.
mm,
And I feel like the odds of success don't always matter if your commitment is like 100%. Like if you're committed,
definitely.
the way as most people that have made it and people that I listen to, if it's Mel Robbins, if it's anyone that's had a business, even the guy that made KFC, because he was like in his 60s when he made that. Most of
That's
his
really,
colleagues
yeah.
were literally in retirement, but that's when his
Mm,
dream was starting and he was committed to see that through, and he was filthy rich by the age of 88. So sometimes like I feel like people like to use stats to discourage you, but you also need to remember that stats only tell you what has happened before, not
yeah.
what's possible for you. It does
Oh, wow. I like
it's
that.
not
Yeah.
a definite that that's what's going to happen for you. It just
Mm,
tells you
the
what's happened
past.
before. Do you know what I mean? Or what
Yeah.
is likely to happen based on how people have responded to surveys. But that's not your reality. So someone has to be the exception. And if someone's going to
Mm,
be the exception, why not you? Like, why are you counting yourself out? So I
mm,
feel like you have to find a way to create your own odds by being persistent. If it means you have to learn and adapt to whatever situation that gets thrown at you, because every successful person before was once told that the odds were against them. If you listen to
exactly.
their
Yeah.
stories, no one said, yes, you go ahead, you do
Yeah.
it. It's gonna work out. And you can imagine the
Mm.
guy that made KFC at 68. I'm sure
I'm
the
sure everyone
family
was
was
like,
side
guy,
eyeing him, like,
retire. Yeah.
rest,
Yeah.
go and rest somewhere. But
Yeah.
yeah, it doesn't say that it's not possible for you. It doesn't dictate
Definitely.
that. So having that in mind is very important.
I mean, even if you look at how TikTok has grown over the past 5 years and how YouTube was back then,
Mm-hmm.
that when before TikTok, YouTube was the go-to for social media content creators and like everybody was a YouTuber.
Yeah,
We couldn't even imagine a TikTok. And then during COVID, the whole pandemic, TikTok blew up and now it's blown. You
exactly.
know, it's to a point where everybody, like anybody that you swipe on, can earn money on TikTok.
Mm-hmm.
And there's this TikToker called Moyo, and he's from the UK, and he does these funny stuff, and he travels across the world and all. And recently, he's been posting a lot about why people should post their content. And he said he had just finished uni as well. He was doing content while in uni, and then when he finished and graduated, his mom said, "Okay, well, you have to look for a job." And then he had to convince his mom why TikTok is the best job for him. And you
Mm-hmm.
can imagine in 2020, like I'm sure she was looking at him like, guy, what are you talking about?
Imagine you want to stay at
You could,
home and just
yeah,
play
you
with
want to
the
stay home and
camera.
take videos, like, bro, go work. Like, this is a serious thing, yeah. And he said immediately after he made that decision, opportunities started coming up. He started getting paid for being a TikToker, and
Wow.
more brands were reaching out to him. It's like the universe just opened up because he had made this decision and he trusted himself. He didn't say, okay, I
Mm-hmm.
guess now that I've graduated, I have to go do the job that I studied for. You
Mm-hmm.
know, and it's the same that at that time TikTok wasn't even a paid thing. Yes, people were getting paid for Instagram and Reels, but TikTok was this new thing, and now agencies are now using it as a platform to sell their product, to market, to what. But in 2020, it was underrated. Even us, like we didn't even join TikTok until 2021, 2022.
Mm-hmm.
So it's one of those things that, like Nicole was saying, the stats are a past thing, which I absolutely love. Like I love that thinking. It's a past thing. You don't know your future. You
Mm-hmm.
don't know what opportunities can come from this big idea that you have. Like you just know it's the right one as long as you work hard. Because Beyonce didn't get to be Beyonce just by waking up. She worked hard for her whole life to become or to get where she was. You
Yeah.
know, it's the same for everything.
Yeah,
Another
that
thing that
makes
my, sorry, go ahead.
not saying that's true.
Yeah. Another thing that my friend said recently, she just had this experience where she's an artist and she wore this outfit at home, and everyone at her house was just like, bro, this outfit is not cute, what are you doing, da da da. And she was feeling insecure about it, but she
Mm-hmm.
wore it anyway, and she went to this fair, and then she bumped into an artist that she admires, and she had this moment of like, oh, should I go talk to him? Should I not talk to him? Should I talk to him? Just, this back and forth, bouncing back and forth. And then she decided, you know what? If I'm wearing the worst outfit ever, that's the worst that can happen to me today. Nothing
Exactly.
else can happen. Whatever this man says to me, it's fine. At least I'll go home. And then she went and spoke to him, and immediately the man was like, oh my gosh, I love your outfit, love your boots, love what you're wearing, da 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 da. And they had this conversation about the art that they do. And they ended up networking, and then she got an opportunity from that. And she said to me that, why are you worried about those people, that
Exactly.
are commenting about you when that's not your target audience?
Mm,
That is not your target audience. Everyone
true.
that is telling you no, 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 is that who you're trying to reach through your
No.
idea?
Mm-hmm.
If you're going to university and everyone's like, oh, don't choose that subject, are you going to be working for them really?
Exactly.
Yeah.
That
And a
is
lot of it,
true.
yeah, a lot of it is sometimes the idea that you have, the people are waiting for your idea to come out. You know, you have to do that thing for others, not for the people that you know.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
Exactly. That is so
Mm.
true. I love that. And I love that so much. And I think also that just ties into, in my opinion, just like accepting your journey is valuable, and that every step that you take towards that, if it doesn't lead to, like, for instance, your expected outcome, it will always teach you something. So it's like having to
Mm.
take that leap of faith and seeing where it takes you. Like your friend, she literally said, well, I guess the worst thing that could happen is I just have a horrible outfit and then that's just it. But
Yeah.
because she took that leap of faith, she was able to get connections from that. And it just
Mm.
shows that, like, people who doubt you, like, they're not the ones that will be living your life. Do you know what I mean? She's living
No.
in that experience of like wearing that outfit she wanted to wear anyway. And the people that understand her art and probably would be her target audience, which is that guy she met at the park who thought she looked really cool. So it's like
Mm.
sometimes it's not cool for that person, but it's definitely cool for the people
For the
around
next
you.
person. Yeah.
Exactly. And it also ties into how we started our podcast, and we were just like trying to stay true to what we like, and just accepting that obviously we might not have all these followers, but the followers that we're gonna get are the people that resonate with what we're talking about.
Yeah, that understand. Yeah.
Exactly, because I was literally saying this on my Instagram, like on a post where it's just random. Like I'd just be getting like maybe a post about fashion where I look great, like I get up to 600 views. And then when I post on Wednesdays, when I'm promoting this podcast, I only get 100 views. And I'm like, I know you lie.
Yeah.
So I just realizing that, okay, when you literally said that to me, that like obviously that's not your target audience, it finally hit. Because the other day when I did post about the podcast, I know that at least a good 20 people came to
To watch
watch the
it.
link that
Yeah.
I sent, and that's our target audience, whereas 400 people went past. So it's just trying to understand that, like, it's fine, like it's okay. You just have to still go with it, and you'll know that in the process you will attract the people that will like your content or
Mm.
appreciate your art or the things that you talk about. And I
Mm.
think sometimes, like before, like I know when TikTok started, I just felt like, I can't say that online. That's too cringe
Yeah.
now. You know what I mean? When you're like, oh no, but I
Yeah.
can't do that. Oh no. And then now I'm just thinking, but why? Like the people that stop by and watch my content, they're just like me. They think like me and they
Mm.
appreciate my mindset.
Mm-hmm.
And that's my target audience. And that's what I'm trying to go for now.
Exactly, exactly. And I think just going back to the whole KFC example, or the example of how statistics that sometimes people may say to you, but that area is heavily saturated.
Mm,
You won't have an opportunity. Why don't you just stick to what you know? Just all of that. Think about the amount of skincare products that are out there. Think of the amount of clothing stores that are out there, the amount of t-shirts that you witness in a store when you go into a shop every day. That there's just so many options, and there's always a buyer, there's always a consumer,
mm-hmm,
there's always a somebody. Somebody's gonna buy. Even if it's one thing, even if it's one person just buying one thing, or someone just coming to browse and window shop. Think about the amount of things that you see on TikTok, and how your life has been impacted by the things that you see or the things that you witness, the amount of products, the amount of pharmaceuticals, like there's so many things in this world
Mhm. Mhm.
that are ready to be witnessed and that you have witnessed already. And there's
Definitely.
still space for you. The fact that there's 7 billion people on this earth and you are part of that, and there's still space for you to move around and stretch your arms and crane your neck and do whatever. There's space in
Definitely.
whatever idea that you have. Despite all the negative comments, despite everything that comes, there's space for that. And another thing I want to really mention is a thing of failure, right? Because failure also comes into play. Because when
Mhm.
someone comes and projects their fears onto you, then you start thinking of failure.
Yeah.
Am I even going to succeed? Is this risk worth it? Da, 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 da. Da. The thing about failure is it teaches you how to be successful next. There's no, I don't believe in failure, to be honest.
Yeah.
I feel like every lesson, everything that I experience is a lesson preparing me for the next thing.
Yeah.
I
Definitely.
gain, yeah, I gain tools, I gain tricks, I gain tips from whatever it is that I'm trying to do now that I can use in the future. And I know sometimes like you can start something, it can feel embarrassing that you haven't succeeded it, or that people are looking at you and saying, "Oh, but last time you said you were going to do it, now look, your thing is broken, or you didn't succeed, you didn't finish school, da 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 da," all that negativity. But then reframing that mindset to say, okay, I guess even though I didn't succeed at what I wanted, what did I gain from this experience? What do I understand about myself? How can
Mhm.
I elevate myself to a point where next time I can use these skills that I learned in a different way? Maybe
That's true.
this will introduce you to more people, to more
Mm.
opportunities. You are now a stronger person. You now know that failure won't kill you.
That is so powerful, actually. I love
Yeah.
that. Exactly.
Mm-hmm.
And also, I think it's very important, like, by listening to a lot of Mel Robbins' podcast, she talks a lot about like failure as well. And I
Mm-hmm.
think also just shifting your mindset, like, instead of asking yourself, like, what if it fails,
Yeah.
shift your mindset to what if it actually works. So in the
Yeah.
process where you don't know whether it's gonna work or whether it's not gonna work, rather than fixating on the fact that it's not gonna work, because you can use the same energy to think about what if it actually works.
Mm-hmm.
And that ties into manifestation if you think about it, because you're
Mm-hmm.
then shifting your focus from fear or doubt to belief and
Mm-hmm.
possibility. And then if you then redirect that mindset towards success, you then align yourself with that high vibration energy
Mm-hmm.
that's needed to make that thing happen. So you
Mm-hmm.
need to kind of like rewire your subconscious mind and ask yourself repeatedly, what if it works? What if it works? What if it works?
Yeah.
So, like, if you're feeling like, oh, I don't think this is going to work, but instead just say, but what if it works? What if it works? What if it works? Keep
Yeah.
saying that to yourself. And then
Just challenge yourself, really.
exactly, you naturally
Yeah.
rewire your brain to embrace the success as something that's like a possibility, like something that could actually happen, rather than something that
Definitely.
happens to other people but you. It's like that happens for her but not
Yeah.
me. Like, why
Yeah.
not just say, what if it happens to me? Like,
Yeah.
what if I'm just as successful as the people that
Successful.
I look up
Mm.
to? And I got this like from reading The Good Vibes and Good Life by Vex King, and he talks about law of attraction and manifestation. And
Mm.
he says that manifestation works best when you detach from the fear-based logic, and
Mm.
then you instead operate from a place of faith and personal conviction that this is actually going to work. And if it doesn't work, like Tina said, God forbid it doesn't work, you've learned something to carry to the next step. But rather than dreading the whole, what if it doesn't work, what if it doesn't work, and then like you're literally just setting yourself up to it not working, because you're already almost defeated though. Like, who wants to put 110 energy into something they think is not going to work? Like,
Yeah.
how does that even make sense? So it's
Exactly.
just trying to position yourself into a positive mindset and
Mm.
enjoy the journey, because imagine like just being feeling dreadful about something the whole time, like, what if it doesn't work, what if it doesn't work, and just believing that if this is meant for me, this is going to work. And if it doesn't work, there's something I need to learn from this, or something I can pick up. Like Tina was saying, like something about failure, you're learning something each and every single time, whether it's a job, whether it's a failed relationship, like you're learning something in the process every time. And I think the moment you think of it that way, it puts you in a better position to be able to pursue your dreams in a more successful manner.
Definitely. I think for myself, because I have first-hand experience with that, um, how I manifested my business, right?
Mhm.
That I've had many failed businesses before. I've always been someone who wanted a business, even as a kid. That was my dream. I just want to have a business. I want to do stuff. I want to have a business, a business, a business. And I did. I was jewelry making when I lived in Botswana. That's what I used to do, and it didn't even go anywhere. Literally, I sold to my friends, and that was it. I
Mhm.
came to the UK. I did more jewelry making. I wanted to start candle making. I wanted to start painting. I wanted to start writing and selling my poetry. Like, I've had so many things, even just selling on Vinted, that I wanted that to be my business at some point. And
Mhm.
doing research on that, or reselling cameras, because I collected cameras at some point, and I was like, okay, this could be a business opportunity, and it didn't work out. Just so many things that never worked out.
Yeah.
But to be honest, that built my resilience. So when I finally got this business that I have now, it was like, okay, what things did I learn from my jewelry making business, that I wasn't marketing well enough. I didn't even know anything about marketing or using social media as a tool to market myself. But luckily, because TikTok came and people are now putting more advice onto there and stuff, I
Yeah.
then got that information. And then I learned how to do those things, and it became fun and cool. And now
Mhm.
video marketing became a thing. I was like, okay, I can do that. That's not hard. And I did. And it's just looking at those things like, oh, okay, I guess it was sad at the time, because I'm like, oh damn, I wasn't making any money, even though I wanted to
Exactly.
make money, da da da. But all those lessons prepared me for what has come now,
That's
you know,
beautiful.
and yeah. I think another thing to mention is like when people talk about manifestation, it seems like this whole magic woo type of thing, right? Like, oh my gosh, magic, magic, and people kind of shy away from it. But manifestation is self, just belief and
Mhm.
faith. Yeah, whether that's faith in a higher power, faith in yourself, really, in this journey that you're going on.
Mhm.
And we can even look at it in how when you want a car, that's the easiest example, but it's so true. Literally, it's so true. When you want a car, you want a red car, what happens? You literally will start seeing red cars all over. Now, if you specify it even further and you say, oh, I want a red Audi A4, you will see Audi A4s, red
Mhm. So
Audi
true.
A4s on the street everywhere you go. Like, it will literally be in your view all the time. Because
Mhm.
that's, you have so much belief in it. You start noticing those things, you start picking up on them. And that high vibrational energy that Nicole was talking about is you just picking up on the good things, on the
Yeah.
things that interest you, right? So even if someone says, oh, you can't buy that car, you're gonna be like, no, but I can, because it's right there. It's like literally there's one parked outside.
Mhm.
So you
Mhm.
come back to and say, "Ah, this person, what are they saying?"
Yeah.
You don't take them seriously.
Yeah.
And that's how you should really navigate when everyone around you is just being negative towards your goals and your dreams.
Mhm. Mhm. Mhm.
Yeah.
Yeah, I love that actually. That is so true. I've actually
Mm.
experienced that where like when you think of something and then suddenly like you see it all over the place, especially with
Yeah.
cars. I'm like, I've never seen this car before. And the moment
Mm.
I seen it, I will see this car everywhere. I'm like, oh, this car's just been around in plain sight. I just wasn't zoned into seeing it. So it's
Mm.
the same thing like you mentioned. And just to like close it off with little tips and stuff,
Mm.
I would just say that like um try to take advice wisely,
Yeah.
and not all criticism is useful, so you
Yeah.
need to be able to decipher the difference between something that's constructive feedback and also like something that's actually just discouragement. And
Definitely.
that can look like obviously considering the person that's giving you the advice and
Mm.
also filtering the advice as well. You know
Mm.
what I mean? Like, I think sometimes it's good. I like taking feedback, of course, like, I love taking feedback, but I'm also trying to be very careful with who I share my vision with and also how soon I share my vision with. As Tina mentioned before, like, she decided to share her idea for her business like later down the road, and I think there's power in that when you see the people around you. If you know, okay, I know there's certain people around me that if I just
Mm.
go and say this is what I want to do, I almost know what their first response is. I don't know about that. So obviously with those kind of people, those are the ones I tell when it's kind of like fully realized, where I'm kind of strong in my conviction and my confidence. So I would advise that.
Yeah. And then for tip number two, I would say to just bank on that is to build your self trust.
Mm-hmm.
That in order to filter out those voices, you have to trust your own voice. Your voice is the one that matters the most. So if you
Definitely.
know your plan, you know your idea, and you know how to go about it, do your thing.
Mm-hmm.
Go
Mm-hmm.
about your goal. Don't let anybody come in the way. And what happens when you do that is you start meeting people that actually support you and encourage you to continue or to try this idea or do this big thing, which
Yeah.
is exactly what you need, and just like a 2.1 on that one is remembering all the people that support you
Mm-hmm.
or that have supported you in the past, even if it was you at 3 years old or you at 5 years old. Remember those people that were so encouraging, or moments where people encourage you because you're still that same person. Remember those voices because they saw you and they validated you. And having that internal voice, that remembering that, okay, I was once supported when I was doing whatever it was that I was doing, that means I can do stuff. I can be supported out there. I can support myself because
Yeah.
I've proven to myself that I am worthy, and I am capable of doing everything that I imagine, even at 3 years old, even at 5 years old, even now at my 27-year-old self. I can do anything.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
So, yeah, build that self trust and remember the people that have supported you because that will lead you to more people that will support you.
Oh my God, I love that. And I would
Mm-hmm.
say my final tip is just remembering, like I drill this into my head every single time, that you only have one life. Like we have
Yeah.
one life to live. And if you ignore your dream, like you're doing a disservice to yourself. And that's going to lead to regret, because at the end of your life, like the biggest regrets will be the chances that you didn't take. And I feel like I don't want to feel like that. I want to feel like whether I failed or successful, I want to feel like I went for everything that I thought. I don't want to be thinking, oh, what if I did this? Maybe my life would have turned out this way. So I owe it to myself to try, even if no one understands it. And also, like, back point, backpedaling to my point before about asking yourself repeatedly, what if that works? It's going to be able to shift your focus from external validation into internal, because
Mm-hmm.
you're now like building trust within yourself and like validating yourself. You don't need anyone to come and tell you, like, oh, I don't know about that. So it goes beyond the fear of judgment if you're just shifting your focus onto like internal validation, because you're sure of your idea, you have personal conviction, and you just want to see it through. So it's
Mm-hmm.
just better to just operate from a place of faith and conviction and just self belief, and then silencing the
Definitely.
noise.
Definitely. Definitely. And the final one now is when you're listening to those voices or you're asking for advice, remember to look at them with compassion. Ask yourself, what fears could this person be holding that could impair their judgment right now?
Mm-hmm.
You know, like again, people are human. They carry so many fears. They have so many different stories. And they're being negative because they might be afraid or they're just a little bit bitter. Whatever it is, it doesn't matter. But
Yeah.
looking at them with compassion allows you to say, okay, even though they're experiencing this thing, it's not my thing to deal with. I will listen to them, but I won't take it.
Yeah.
It's
Definitely.
okay. They can deal with their fear. It's fine. I'm fine.
Definitely.
And then after that, you're good. You're good to go, and you can do whatever it is that you you are driven to do at that moment.
Mm-hmm.
So,
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
yeah,
Yeah. Yeah.
yeah.
That was lovely. Thank you so much for tuning in. And in the words of
Hmm.
Lupito Nyong'o, your dreams are valid.
Exactly. Come on.
Yes, and look how look where she came from, and look where she is. Honestly, your
Exactly.
dreams are so
Yeah,
valid.
yeah.
So from me to you, hopefully we'll catch you in the next episode. Do like and subscribe. I'm Nicole.
And I'm Tinashe. Thank you so much for watching.
Bye.
Bye.